Yo, the enemy's public, I gotta keep my eyes open. Pay attention, stop walking around like you blindfolded. This not the World Cup, but Nasir be kicking knowledge. This the type of information you can never learn in college. It's time to fight back, it's no more trying to play it cool. We got interviews, podcasts, and got the latest news. So sit back and relax, we about to get it started. Earth is a canvas, and guess who's the con artist? They brainwashing us, the system corrupted. You are now rocking with the enemy's public. You are now rocking with the enemy's public. I said you are now rocking with the enemy's public. Hey.
A once goal-driven, ambitious Sapphire turns to the street life after the sudden death of her big brother Dre. Dre's best friend Devontae tries to honor his homeboy's last request of looking out for his baby sister. A rebellious Sapphire makes it very difficult for Devontae to carry out his promise. Author Angela King James presents Fire. Get it on Amazon, on paperback, or Kindle.
Peace. This is the enemy's public, and I am Bro.Nasir. Next year is an election year, and some of our people, I would say the ignorant among us, will be going to the polls and selecting the less of two evils. And we're still coming out with evil. Some of us think that we can vote in one who would contribute or be our savior, when we are the savior that we've been looking for. Excuse me. There's no benevolent politician that's going to come up and change our condition and our lives. That's not going to happen. It's going to take us being serious, working hard, standing and acting on our own behalf that's going to affect change. We have candidates. I believe it's 8 candidates, yet the Republican National Convention that I'm going to show this evening is minus the Cheeto Man. And we're going to see who we have to choose from to govern us. We're going to see buffoonery at an all-time high, no decorum. We're going to see attention deficit on the stage. We're going to see it all. We're going to see arguing back and forth. We're going to see grown men and women not knowing how to answer questions and argue at the best of manner, or in the best of manner. Now, I want to show some videos of the Republican National Convention. This is who and what the people have to choose from to govern us. This is the choices that we have for the presidency of the United States of America.
Trump, who skipped tonight, citing his commanding lead. Well, with the debate wrapping up, it appears for now that the status quo probably will remain. No candidate on stage substantively changed their stance on the former president. Trump's name was actually barely mentioned by anyone in the entire first hour of the debate. And then this is how the second hour kicked off.
You all signed a pledge to support the eventual Republican nominee. If former President Trump is convicted in a court of law, would you still support him as your party's choice? Please raise your hand if you would. Just hold on.
Yeah, you saw that. It all sort of, first hand that pops up is Vivek, and then people start watching, and then DeSantis, then Pence. And yeah, we're confused by Chris Christie ourselves. But Ron DeSantis, the candidate currently closest to Trump in the polls, largely pulled his punches when given the chance to draw a contrast with Trump. Here he is dodging a question tied to the events surrounding the January 6th insurrection when the vice president refused Trump's demands to interfere with the certification of the election.
But Governor DeSantis, do you believe that Mike Pence did the right thing on January 6th?
So here's what we need to do. We need to end the weaponization of the...
You see how this man just totally dodged the question. He wants to get up there and dictate what is said and take a chance to spew his foolishness. This is a debate, and they have moderators. And this guy already is not going by the regulations, totally deflecting from the question that was asked of him.
These federal agents.
Right, but
I will do that.
That's not the question.
I know, but here's the thing. This election is not about January 6th of 2021. It's about January 20th of 2020.
Yet you cannot determine what a moderator asks you in a debate. You have to answer the question. If you don't have an answer, just say you don't have an answer.
When the next president is going to take office. I've answered this before.
So yes.
Why are we? Mike did his duty. I got no beef with him. But here's the thing: is this what we're going to be focusing on going forward? The rehashing of this? I'll tell you, the Democrats would love that.
So without Trump on stage, it was newcomer Vivek Ramaswamy, the Trump acolyte, who was a popular target all night. In many ways, he was perhaps the surrogate that everybody else thought they could use as a Trump punching bag on that stage. He took up Trump's defense, which the audience cheered as he sparred with Chris Christie on Trump's conduct.
Here's the bottom line. Someone's got to stop normalizing this conduct, okay? Now, whether or not you believe that the criminal charges are right or wrong, the conduct is beneath the office of President of the United States. And you know, this is the great thing about this country. Booing is allowed, but it doesn't change the truth.
President Trump, I believe, was the best president of the 21st century. It's a fact. And Chris Christie, honest to God, your claim that Donald Trump is motivated by vengeance and grievance would be a lot more credible if your entire campaign were not based on vengeance and grievance against one man. And if people at home want to see a bunch of people blindly bashing Donald Trump without an iota of vision for this country, they could just change the channel to MSNBC right now.
In fact, Ramaswamy's presence and the attention and ire he seemed to draw from everybody else on that stage was easily one of the bigger stories of the night. As the most Trump-like candidate, he seemed to suck up the oxygen on stage as he tried to capture the anti-establishment and anti-government screeds and grievances that first catapulted Trump to the top of the Republican field back in 2015. Here are some of the biggest hits of the field against Ramaswamy.
Let us be honest as Republicans. I'm the only person on the stage who isn't bought and paid for, so I can say this. The climate change agenda is a hoax. The climate change agenda is a hoax. And we have to declare independence for it. And the reality is, the anti-carbon agenda is the wet blanket on our economy. And so the reality is more people are dying of bad climate change policies than they are of actual climate change.
Governor Haley, are you bought and paid for? Hold on. Listen. Wait, hold on.
I've had enough already tonight of a guy who sounds like ChatGPT standing up here and
Damn, body blow.
the last person in one of these debates, Brett, who stood in the middle of the stage and said, "What's a skinny guy with an odd last name doing up here?" was Barack Obama, and I'm afraid we're dealing with the same type of amateur standing on stage tonight.
Come over, give me a hug. Give me a hug just like you did to Obama.
The same type of amateur.
And you'll help elect me just like you did to Obama, too. Give me that
the same type of amateur.
So if you're keeping score at home, by the way, the top 3 candidates in the polls.
It's not going to be too long before he rolls across a NATO border. And frankly, our men and women of our armed forces are going to have to go and fight him. I want to let the Ukrainians fight and drive Putin and the Russians back out into Russia.
I want to just
So
briefly
our troops
address
are going to have to make that
Vice
fight.
President Pence. I have a newsflash. The USSR does not exist anymore. It fell back in 1990.
Did I say
the real
USSR?
threat? You talked about the communists. And the real communists that we have to address right now
Do you not have any idea what Vladimir Putin's aims
you
are?
already spoke. Now I actually have something to say.
Vladimir Putin has been saying he wants to reestablish the old Soviet sphere
You've made
of
your point,
influence.
Vice President.
Now, if you think I'm sorry if I insulted him by calling him a communist. He is a dictator and a murderer, and the United States of America needs to stand against authoritarianism.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by
Yeah, there's no decorum and no type of statesman behavior up there. And these are the candidates that we have to choose from to be elected for the United States president. Now, I'm going to say it like this. Donald Trump has lowered the bar on the behavior of a president. He's lowered the bar, you know, with all the clown stuff that he's did. And these are just Trump wannabes up here. All except, I would say, Mike Pence. He's the only one who's not a Trump wannabe. Not that he's any better than them. Not that I will vote for anyone up on that stage. I'm just showing what we have to choose from to be the president. And I'm not a Democrat either, because part 2, I'm going to show what we have to choose from the other wing. A bird has a left wing and a right wing, but it's on the same unclean and hateful bird. So I'm showing both sides of this spectrum. Now, I'm going to show some highlights from the first Republican National Convention. Peace to my brother Dangerous. Salute
Welcome
to
to
my
the
brother.
first
Peace
debate
to my brother
of the
Big Dog
2024
OG.
presidential campaign, live at Fiserv Forum in Milwaukee.
This decline is not inevitable. It's a choice. We need to send Joe Biden back to his basement and reverse American decline.
Joe Biden has weakened this country at home and abroad. Now is not the time for on-the-job training. We don't need to bring in a rookie. We don't need to bring in people without experience. We need to bring
Let us be honest as Republicans. I'm the only person on the stage who isn't bought and paid for, so I can say this. The climate change agenda is a hoax. The climate change agenda is a hoax. And we have to declare independence for it.
I've had enough already tonight of a guy who sounds like ChatGPT standing up here. And the last person in one of these debates, Brett, who stood in the middle of the stage and said, "What's a skinny guy with an odd last name doing up here?" was Barack Obama, and I'm afraid we're dealing with the same type of amateur standing on stage tonight.
I am unapologetically pro-life, not because the Republican Party tells me to be, but because my husband was adopted and I had trouble having both of my children. So I'm surrounded by blessings. When it comes to a federal ban, let's be honest with the American people and say it will take 60 Senate votes. It will take a majority of the House. So in order to do that, let's find consensus.
To be honest with you, Nikki, you're my friend, but consensus is the opposite of leadership. When the Supreme Court returned this question to the American people, they didn't just send it to the states only. It's not a states-only issue. It's a moral issue.
Don't make women feel like they have to decide on this issue when you know we don't have 60 Senate votes in the House.
70% of the American people support legislation
But
to ban
70%
abortion
of the
after a
Senate
baby is
does
capable
not.
of experiencing pain.
If former President Trump is convicted.
Why are the children even mentioned in this foolishness? Leave the children out of this.
In a court of law, would you still support him as your party's choice? Please raise your hand if you would.
Whether or not you believe that the criminal charges are right or wrong, the conduct is beneath the office of President of the United States.
I chose the Constitution, and I always will. I had no
Vice
right to
President Pence.
overturn the election, and Kamala Harris will have no right to overturn the election when we beat them in 2024.
Thank you, Vice President Pence.
Thanks for watching.
More of this Republican National Convention and their foolishness.
Donald Trump was not on stage, but 8 other Republican presidential candidates were tonight for their very first debate.
And WGN political reporter Taman Bradley was there. He is live in Milwaukee with our recap tonight. Got a little raucous, Taman.
To say the least, Ray and Dana. Climate change, crime, education, abortion, all of these red hot topics covered by the GOP presidential field in this unofficial kickoff to the 2024 campaign season. 8 top polling Republicans on stage here in Milwaukee for the first presidential debate. Right out of the gate, the candidates tried to stand out from the pack.
I was elected as a conservative Republican in a blue state with 61% of the vote, with a Democratic legislature against me the entire time. And we still, through hard, strong decision-making, brought them around to our point of view.
I'm an entrepreneur. My parents came to this country with no money 40 years ago. I have gone on to found multi-billion-dollar companies. I did it while marrying my wife, Apoorva, raising our 2 sons, following our faith in God. That is the American dream. And I am genuinely worried that that American...
The American dream is coming over here from India, and what you're doing is you're classifying yourself as a white man, and you're trying to play the part of a white man. You know, not that if you were on the other side of the spectrum as far as being a Democrat, you would still be trying to classify yourself as a white man. The American dream is not what they put as far as accomplishments and everything. You know, a good job, a home, a wife, you can get that anywhere. The American dream is coming to the United States and classifying yourself as a white man. Peace to Carbon King. Salute to you.
dream will not exist for our 2 sons and their generation unless we do something about it.
On the hot button issue of abortion, the candidates drew contrasts.
What the Democrats are trying to do on this issue is wrong to allow abortion all the way up to the moment of birth.
We should not have a federal abortion ban.
I am unapologetically pro-life, not because the Republican Party tells me to be, but because my husband.
See, a lot of these people call themselves pro-life. Nothing wrong with being pro-life. They are pro-life until after the child is born, but they support a racist, murderous, barbaric-ass police department that kill children after they're born. You know, harassing, beating, slamming them down out of their desk, putting their knee on their neck and on their back, even shooting them. What about the pro-life when it comes to children that are here and living life?
Husband was adopted and I had trouble having both of my children, so I'm surrounded by blessings. Having said that, we need to stop demonizing this issue. This is talking about the fact that unelected justices didn't need to decide something this personal.
Absent from the 2-hour event, frontrunner Donald Trump. But the candidates were asked to weigh in on the 91 criminal counts the former president faces.
We need to end the weaponization of these federal agents.
Right, but whether or not you believe.
See, Ron DeSantis talking about the weaponization of these organizations. Now, Donald Trump is a criminal. He committed multi-crimes. He even took classified papers to his home that could have jeopardized the safety of the United States. He took them to his house. They asked him, did he have them? He lied and said he didn't, but they was at his home. And they had to raid his home to get the papers. He's a criminal, and he's committed all types of frauds and didn't pay no taxes. Not that I have a problem with that because that's his money, but what I should have to do, he should have to do. And he committed all these crimes, and the federal government came after him. See, Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump would talk about the weaponization of federal agencies when it comes to them. But when it comes to them kicking down our doors for a little of nothing, and a lot of times kicking down the wrong doors and not even being held accountable for it, they don't care anything about that. They only start to care when it comes to them being victims of these federal agencies, yet they're not even victims of these agencies. These agencies need to be kicking in a lot more doors. They need to bring their ass to New Jersey and lock Bob Menendez up. It's just crazy how these politicians can do all these crimes and get away with it. Now, I'm going to pause this for a second really quickly. Now, Bob Menendez is a senator in New Jersey who was just indicted. He and his wife were just indicted for all types of fraud, robbery, and everything. And they just uncovered that Bob Menendez's wife killed somebody. She was driving drunk and she hit somebody and that person died. And the Pagoda up in North Jersey, the Pagoda Police Department covered it up. She killed somebody with, her vehicle, and they covered it up. She made the phone call and said somebody jumped on her windshield. Somebody jumped on her windshield, and they actually went with that. Instead of coming and doing an investigation, calling detectives and doing an investigation, but they covered it up. And now that he's indicted, he and his wife is indicted, they brought it out. All those police officers who are involved in that incident should be fired and brought up on charges.
That the criminal charges are right or wrong. The conduct is beneath the office of president.
To answer Doizer's question, thanks for coming in. First of all, thank you for joining me. I don't feel any of us should engage in, not necessarily Trump, none of these politicians, the jackass or the elephant, neither party, not only Trump, but anybody up on that stage that was at the Republican National Convention, or anyone who would be on that stage at the Democratic National Convention. They're unworthy of us going out on a November morning all the way to the evening and voting and putting our confidence that they would do anything for our people. So what we should do, November, whatever day they choose next year, we should do is stay home. Not necessarily stay home. Don't go out and vote. And we need to send a message that our vote will not be taken for granted, and it won't be given to any politicians for nothing. If we're going to go out and vote for anybody, they have to give us as a people exclusively, no umbrellas, no colored people, no people of color, no none of that foolishness, specifically for our people. They can't promise us anything like they do everybody else. We don't give them our votes.
Of the United States.
We have to have respect for our justice system and the rule of law, and it starts at the top.
Trying to stay above the fray, South Carolina Senator Tim Scott emphasized his personal story.
As a kid who grew up in a single-parent household, mired in...
Now, this is Tim Scott, a Hershey Walker times 10, dumb Negro who, I'm just going to play it. Listen to this fool.
Poverty. I wondered, was the American dream real for kids who were devastated by poverty, devastated by the challenges of life? I came to the conclusion that America can do for anyone what she's done for me if we focus on restoring hope, creating opportunities, and protecting America.
Throughout the debate, former Vice President under Trump, Mike Pence.
I can't stand when Negroes start talking and try to tell our people that their experience in totality is the whole of our people. Forget everybody else's experience as a black man and woman, because he played a game that he was cheated. He knew he was being cheated, but he played and went along with it anyway. That we should be, look at me, I'm a fool, be a fool just like me. It's like the athletes telling our children this foolish stuff. Do this and do that, do this and be like me. But later on, you see them in a dress, you see them wearing wigs, you see them wearing women clothes. You see them being buck broken. Be like me and be buck broken like me. That's a bunch of foolishness.
Shared his resume.
I'm the best prepared, the most tested, the most qualified and proven conservative in this race.
It's debate night, but we're not in Milwaukee.
5 minutes before the debate telecast kicked off, a Trump interview with Tucker Carlson played on social media. The former president said he didn't do the debate because he didn't have to.
But we'll get bigger ratings using this crazy forum that you're using than probably the debate.
11 months from now, Republicans will return here to Milwaukee to officially nominate their candidate for president of the United States. Live in Milwaukee, Tamon Bradley, WGN News.
Just going on from video to video. It's about who we have to choose from to govern over us.
Welcome to the first debate of the 2024 presidential campaign, live at Fiserv Forum in Milwaukee.
This decline is not inevitable. It's a choice. We need to send Joe Biden back to his basement and reverse American decline.
Joe Biden has weakened this country at home and abroad. Now is not the time for on-the-job training. We don't need to bring in a rookie. We don't need to bring in.
I think we played that one. We're going to move on from this one.
The race for the White House is heating up, and 8 Republican candidates just wrapped up their first debate. Senior political reporter Jason Whiteley is live in studio to show us what happened without former President Trump on stage.
Indeed, Trump was not there tonight, but tonight we did see Republicans bash President Biden and talk about what the country would look like with each of them in the White House. But just a couple of them, Chris, a couple of those candidates on that stage tonight actually went after Donald Trump. Why does that matter? Well, keep in mind, before they can take on President Biden, someone in this group first has to defeat Trump.
Tonight, the race for the White House takes flight.
On the floor of a basketball arena, the 2024 election cycle officially began.
First, let me just address a question that is on everybody's mind at home tonight. Who the heck is this skinny guy with a funny last name, and what the heck is he doing in the middle of this debate stage?
8 Republicans on stage,
right away,
Donald
OG.
Trump not among them. Vivek Ramaswamy, the early standout here, and candidates went after him rather than the front runner, Donald Trump.
Well, I got news for you, Vivek. I've been in the hallway. I've been in the West Wing.
For me, it's pretty simple. That's something a U.S. president can do with focus, and I'll deliver on it.
Let me explain it to you. Vivek, if I can. I'll go slower this time. Now is not the time for on-the-job training.
I've had enough already tonight of a guy who sounds like ChatGPT standing up here. And the last person in one of these debates, Brett, who stood in the middle of the stage and said, "What's a skinny guy with an odd last name doing up here?" was Barack Obama. And I'm afraid we're dealing with the same type of amateur standing stage tonight.
Going into the debate, Trump polls at 52%. The next closest Republican, Ron DeSantis, at 15%. The remaining 9 candidates are all in single digits, including Ramaswamy.
Going back and forth being childish is not helpful to the American people.
Candidates were quizzed on crime, climate change, abortion, and eventually Trump's criminal indictments. And 7 of the 9 Republicans here raised their hands to say they would still support Trump even if he is convicted of a crime. Chris Christie did not.
Someone's got to stop normalizing this conduct.
We have to look at the fact that 3/4 of Americans don't want a rematch between Trump and Biden.
Ramaswamy is the only one who vowed to pardon Trump. Republicans tonight beginning to shape what the 2024 race might eventually look like. So after every debate, the question is, who won? Well, Vivek Ramaswamy could be considered the standout tonight that a lot of people probably were less familiar with. But
Peace to my brother, Big Dog, Philly OG. Salute to you, brother. Do a mic check.
Mic check, mic check.
Over the last 2 hours likely changes the fact that Donald Trump wakes up tomorrow.
Can you hear me, brother? Mic check.
As
loud and clear.
The Republican Party.
Going on to the next.
If former President Trump is convicted in a court of law, would you still support him as your party's choice? Please raise your hand if you would. Just hold on. So just to be clear, Governor Christie, you were kind of...
See, everybody up on this stage are criminals. Knowing what this man was charged with and what he's done, they will still support him. I wouldn't support any of these people or on the Democrat side either. None of them could get my support. None of them can get me to come out on a November morning or evening, whatever time it is, and vote for any of them. None of them.
Late to the game there, but
no, I'm doing this.
And I know you didn't.
Well, look, here's the bottom line. Someone's got to stop normalizing this conduct. Okay? Now, whether or not you believe that the criminal charges are right or wrong. The conduct is beneath the office of President of the United States.
We have to look at the fact that 3/4 of Americans don't want a rematch between Trump and Biden. And we have to face the fact that Trump is the most disliked politician in America. We can't win a general election that way.
Here's the thing. This election is not about January 6th of 2020.
He sounds just like a crooked, wicked, racist ass cop. Here's the thing. They ask him a specific question, and he says, here's the thing.
It's about January 20th of 2025 when the next president is going to take office.
Look, Joe Biden has weakened this country at home and abroad. Now is not the time for on-the-job training. We don't need to bring in a rookie. We don't need to bring in people without experience. We need to bring
Mr. Ramaswamy, you would not support an increase of funding to Ukraine.
I would not. And I think that this is disastrous, that we are protecting.
Let me know, brother, if you want me to pause it, if you want to tap in.
Now, do your thing, brother. But I jump in at the end. I jump in after you tap in. Much respect.
Okay.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, good brother. Peace, respect to my brother Metalface.
Against an invasion across somebody else's border when we should use those same military resources to prevent across the invasion of our own southern border here in the United States. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to address each of those right now. This is the false lies of a professional politician. There you have it.
Your watch,
So the
you
reality
make
is,
America less safe. You have no foreign policy experience, and it shows.
and you know what? The
It
foreign
shows.
policy experience that you all have shows in the pointless wars we've gotten into. Let us be honest as Republicans. I'm the only person on the stage who isn't bought and paid for, so I can say this. The climate change agenda is a hoax.
Hold on. I've had enough. I've had enough already tonight of a guy who sounds like ChatGPT standing up here. And the last person in one of these debates, Brett, who stood in the middle of the stage and said, "What's a skinny guy with an odd last name doing up here?" was Barack Obama, and I'm afraid
I wouldn't give a damn who won. We shouldn't be involved in that shit. None of it.
Yeah, that sounds like a WWE match.
Do begin
Right
this morning
there.
with the race for the White House and the first Republican primary debate.
Exactly.
8 candidates, 8 of them, the ones who met the threshold set by the Republican National Committee, they squared off in Milwaukee.
A bunch of clowns with no decorum, not knowing how to conduct themselves on a national stage. None of them.
Milwaukee. The frontrunner in the GOP field, former President Trump, decided not to take part, but he still loomed large over the debate. As the candidates sparred against each other, they also had to address what was labeled the elephant not in the room. Here's a look at some of the highlights from last night.
Tonight, the race for the White House takes flight. Welcome to the first debate of the 2024 presidential campaign, live at Fiserv Forum in Milwaukee. If former President Trump is convicted in a court of law,
This is the last
would you
video.
still support him as your party's choice? Please raise your hand if you would.
whether or not you believe that the criminal charges are right or wrong, the conduct is beneath the office of President of the United States.
Here's the thing. This election is not about January 6th of 2021. It's about January 20th of 2025 when the next president is going to take office.
We have to look at the fact that 3/4 of Americans don't want a rematch between Trump and Biden.
I had hoped that the issues surrounding the 2020 election and the controversies around January 6th had not come to this, had not come to criminal proceedings.
And when Hunter Biden fills out a fake application, a false application for a gun permit, and then is facing a 10-year mandatory minimum, which was mandated by legislation sponsored by his father, and then you have a Justice Department that walks away from those charges, we're telling people that the law doesn't apply to everybody.
Can't we all agree that we should ban late-term abortions? Can't we all agree that we should encourage adoptions? Can't we all agree that doctors and nurses who don't believe in abortion shouldn't have to perform them?
We're joined now by NBC's Ali Vitale from Milwaukee and senior national politics reporter Jonathan Allen. Good morning to both of you. So, Ali, let's start with you. As we mentioned a moment ago, former President Trump was not there. Instead, he took part in that pre-recorded interview with former Fox News host Tucker Carlson. It was about an hour into the debate when the candidates were finally asked about Trump and all of those indictments. So, what were some of the key takeaways from the candidates when it comes to the frontrunner and his legal issues?
Yeah, Joe, as if that weren't the question that everyone was waiting for, from viewers to the candidates themselves. But it was.
I agree. They're not serious. And we definitely shouldn't take them serious. Meadowbrook, Montreal.
Fascinating to watch Trump treated more as an issue to be dealt with, as opposed to an individual who's vying for this office, actively leading the pack. In my conversations in the spin room after, it was clear to everyone that he wasn't there. And many of them felt that this moment where you watched his opponents raise their hands and say that they would still support him even after indicted only further proved the former president's point that he is still the leader of this party.
These people up on this stage is saying that they will support him not because they really feel that way. That was a just in case gesture. They don't want to be on the bad side of him in the event that he does get elected, in case he get elected, and he's going to remember who didn't raise their hand, like a Chris Christie and a Mike Pence. They're the only two who didn't raise their hand, but the rest of them said they will support him even if he is convicted. What I can't understand is, how can a convicted felon even be on the ballot? You know, I mean, many of us, if we get arrested falsely, lose our damn job. But a convicted felon can hold the highest office in the land. That shit's crazy.
Big facts, brother. Big facts.
Nevertheless, some of those moments for you, watch.
The American people deserve to know that the president asked me in his request that I reject or return votes unilaterally, power that no vice president in American history had ever exercised or taken. He asked me to put him over the Constitution. And I chose the Constitution.
So we have to have respect for our justice system and the rule of law, and it starts at the top with the President of the United States.
And look, none of those comments were exactly surprising. And so when you look at this debate stage and wonder, did it change anything? Did any of the candidates wait for the largest audience that they would have up until this point to actually go at the former president for his multiple legal troubles? The answer is no.
So, John, before Trump even became a focal point, the first part of the debate was pretty focused on a number of other issues, non-Trump issues.
I think Donald Trump have like 61 indictments, something to that nature. I'm not understanding why he's not disqualified at this point. Not later on down the line, why he's not disqualified now.
And brother, enemies public, let alone with the 11 or 12 bankruptcies.
Exactly.
The man can't even manage his own funds.
Exactly. I mean, he did a lot of things out of arrogance. You know, he had the Trump fleet of planes. He even had a Trump university. How could a man that damn dumb have a damn university? He don't even think universal. So how the hell can he have a university? All these different businesses that failed, but they'll put a nation in his hand to manage. That's crazy.
Choose what stood out to you in that.
It's a great question, Joe, and you know, always so hard to add and follow Ali Vitale with a really good insight there. I think what stood out to me at the beginning, the desire of these guys to go after each other. I say guys in part because Nikki Haley, the former governor of South Carolina, didn't engage in quite the level of vitriol that some of the other folks did. But what you saw early on this stage was really a fight for who would emerge into second place. Definitely, absolutely, a lot of rockets being fired at Vivek Ramaswamy, who has been surging in polls recently. You saw
Tim Scott and Vivek Ramaswamy are nothing but stage props. And so is that female on the damn stage. The three of them is nothing but stage props. There's no way in hell any of them would become president. Any of them would make it past the primaries. Whoever that female is, Tim Scott and Vivek Ramaswamy, stage props. And they use that tactic to take votes from a certain politician. That's all he is. A damn stage prop and a distraction.
Saw Christie and Pence in particular attack him on his inexperienced 38-year-old businessman with no government experience before. And then, again, to your point, it took a while for them to get to Trump. A lot of exchanges over everything from abortion to foreign policy.
So, Ali, for some of the candidates like Ramaswamy, this was really their first introduction to a national audience.
Yeah.
What did we see from those who were really trying to make a name for themselves, to try and stand out from the pack?
And what an introduction it was, because in many ways, he was the Trump stand-in there on the stage. A lot of the candidates more willing to mix it up with him, someone who's surging in the polls and who has no real political background, as opposed to someone like Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who his campaign had really been previewing. Allies had said they knew he had a target on his back because of the fact that he has really been the second place guy for the duration of this primary. What's clear.
See, Vivek Ramaswamy, his inspiration is Obama. He thinks because he looks the way he look and talk the way he talk, that people would gravitate towards him. That's not going to work. Not our people anyway. But again, this dude is he's a stage prop.
Basically, we've been tricked by Obama. That ain't happening again.
Exactly. It's not happening no more. All that people of color, but you know what though, brother? Barack Obama was the first African American president.
Yes, sir.
Literally. He's not one of us, but he was African American.
Yes, sir. And basically what we do in these videos is to show the buffoonery that they putting in front of us. It's always the lesser of two evils or someone that don't have experience.
Exactly.
So we basically are exposing this time the Republicans, the next time it's going to be the Democrats. Then after that it's going to be the liberals.
Exactly.
We're telling our people, it's always the lesser of two evils, and that a president is not going to change anything that this corporation is doing. Go ahead, brother.
Big fact. And the smarter of two dummies, brother.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? Smarter of two
The
dummies.
smarter of two dummies. Yes, sir. Big facts. I'm with you.
Clear is that most people on the stage preferred to ignore him and instead look at Ramaswamy for their moment or their standout opportunity. One of those was Chris Christie. Watch how that happened.
I'm the only person on the stage who isn't bought and paid for, so I can say this. The climate change agenda is a hoax. The climate change agenda is a hoax.
I've had enough already tonight of a guy who sounds like ChatGPT standing up here.
Come over and give me a hug. Give me a hug.
Basically, in these public, he sounds like a computer.
Exactly.
That's what ChatGPT is.
Exactly.
He don't even sound like a human. He sounds like a computer.
Exactly. He's AI, brother.
Exactly. Go ahead, brother. I just wanted to say that.
Not Allen Iverson either.
And you'll help elect me just like you did to Obama, too. Give me that
The same type of amateur.
There's that classic Christie flair that I think many of us expected to see, especially after watching him on the debate stage in 2016. But certainly Christie wasn't the only one who earned a moment at Ramaswamy's expense. Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley really
real quick,
flexing.
brother. You're a Jersey resident, so you've seen all the corruption that Christie has been involved with.
Big facts. Big facts. That's why I'm listening, but that's for the sake of, showing that people who the hell this dude is.
Yes,
I
sir.
heard it's Christie. And
I
he would
remember him when I was in Pennsylvania. He was just getting that position a while ago. Go ahead, brother.
exactly. He might as well just walk up off the stage because people in his own state not gonna vote for him.
Big facts.
If he was a winning primary, he wouldn't win New Jersey. He would not win New Jersey because we already experienced him.
Yeah, he had did too much dirt already. But go ahead, brother.
Her conservative credentials, as well as her foreign policy creds, showing that she's someone who has not just been an executive of a state, but also someone who knows what it is to be a leader on the foreign policy and world stage. She, of course, was a UN ambassador in the Trump administration, and at one point really went at Ramaswamy, as well as her other colleagues, stealing the moment and really elevating her stature on that stage as well.
So, John, bottom line, Trump still maintains
And
a
real
large
quick,
lead in the
enemies
poll.
public. They keep bringing that foreign policy because that's important because they letting all these immigrants and illegal immigrants in here. So they want to make sure, their foreign policy people is somebody that they're going to be able to push and tell them what to do. But yeah, you see, they keep bringing that foreign policy up. They worrying about these foreigners more than they worrying about us. Go ahead, brother. That's all I wanted to say.
And you're absolutely correct, too, because when they allow the immigrants to enter the United States, that is merely increasing their population. That's why they let them in. All these people, you have a certain few said, keep them out. But, as per politicians like a Chuck Schumer, he said it straight up. Certain people are not producing children like they used to, so that's why we got to allow them in. They're increasing their ranks because the criteria for them to come here when they go to the census and when they go to get classified, you know what they're going to mark down? They're going to call themselves white because, again, the American dream is to come to the United States and become white. You could be dark as 12 midnights, but they'll still put white as a classification.
Rivals. That's one of the reasons he gave for not appearing at last night's debate, why we may not see him in future ones. But with this first debate behind us now, what can we expect from the candidates before they do this again next month in California? Does anyone have to change their strategy here?
I think what was most fast last night was the lack of fire at Ron DeSantis. Number two, this is a real problem at some level for his campaign that nobody bothered to fight with him. That he's been swooning some, and the focus was really on Ramaswamy in terms of the other candidates trying to get to their spot. So I think basically we're going to see over the course of the next several weeks as we wait for debate number two is this Donnybrook, this all-out brawl for who can be the number two candidate. And again, always worth mentioning that Donald Trump is dominant in the polls right now. That seems unlikely to change soon.
All right, Ali Vitale, John Allen, thank you both for kicking us off this hour.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.
Yeah, brother. That's who we have to choose from. It's 8 of them. That's what we had to choose from to go to the polls. And those who are into that, make them a leader. Can you imagine, brother, making them a leader? Anybody up on that stage, including Donald Trump, making them a leader?
It sounds to me like all of them were joking and laughing that, this was all a joke to them. You know what I mean? A stage. None of them was serious.
Entertainment.
Like the one said, I'm the only one that ain't bought and paid for. He was confident in saying that.
Exactly, because he's a see, this is the thing. People can buy themselves into places and even into the spotlight, brother OG. They could buy themselves into the spotlight. The guy's a billionaire. And the only reason why he's able to get up on that stage is the same reason why Donald Trump was able to get up on that stage, because of the money. They can buy themselves, time on TV.
Sir. They could buy their basically position in the race.
Exactly. They can buy themselves things. He said he's the only one who's not bought and paid for because he has his own money. You know what I'm saying? He's not getting
funding.
He's
not being funded by anybody. He's funding himself. I'm with you 110%. And that's what we're doing. We're exposing these evil, corrupt politicians. Go ahead, brother.
Exactly. He's not getting any campaign funding, and that's why he say he's not bought and paid for. That's the same thing Donald Trump was on, but when he found out that, okay, this shit really costs a lot of money, and what's crazy about that, how could anyone get into politics like that? They spend millions of dollars just to get a job. And that is what you call power hungry. That's power hungry. They got the money, now they want to exercise some power over people and get into jobs that they're unfamiliar with. Donald Trump thought being president means he's the boss and he could do anything he wants. He actually thought that. And anybody under his cabinet associated to him, if they didn't do exactly what he said, even if it was illegal, he got them away from him. They may as well have put a revolving door on the White House and on Capitol Hill. That's how many people's going in and out. If you go back and you watch all the people who worked for him during his term, people was in and out. You didn't do what he said.
He fired most of his staff. Yes, sir.
Most of his staff.
That's a fact.
He had so many people there. When he wanted them to do, and a lot of them went to jail because they were scared of getting fired, so they was loyal to him. And a lot of those people went to jail or going to jail.
And enemies public. Let me say this real quick, brother. Donald Trump would not be nothing without his lawyers that's backing him. All of these presidents, they have excellent lawyers who recommend what they do. They ain't doing nothing. They get recommended by their lawyers and these basically, because that's who's been bailing Trump out of all this trouble is his legal team.
Exactly. And one of his lawyers is the former mayor, was a former mayor of New York, Rudy Giuliani. He should be the mayor of New York. Happened to be, he was a prosecutor, and then he rose up in the ranks, became mayor. And he was always an attorney because the prosecutor's an attorney. But he started defending Donald Trump, and now he's in a lot of damn trouble. And the crazy part is Donald Trump is not even giving any of the people who backed him and supported him and covered up for him. He turned his back on all of them. All of them. He has no loyalty. So why would you even, raise your hand and say you will support a guy?
Why would you show loyalty to him?
Exactly.
Because they fair. They want to keep that check coming and fair. Go ahead, brother.
And then also they could be jockeying for position. All those who raised their hand, they said, if he would you support him as a candidate anyway? That shows just how wicked they is. Those who raised their hand said they'll support him as a candidate anyway.
Yes, sir.
They're jockeying for position in the event that he does become president. He can say, okay, he supported me anyway, so I'll give him a job. Like they took Ben Carson. Ben Carson, the smartest among everybody, including Donald Trump under his presidency. A damn brain surgeon, Ben Carson, put this motherfucker in charge of the projects, in charge of HUD. You're going to take the smartest man among you, don't make him Surgeon General, you put him in charge of HUD, Housing Urban Development. Something he don't know nothing.
Enemy pup, because he grew up off of a
put him back in the projects. Damn.
You got it, brother. Make it make sense.
You just
He
reminded
should
me.
be in charge of some other something in the health field. But the thing was, he couldn't do that position because Fauci had been in that position of the health for almost 30-something years. So he had to put him somewhere else. You see what I'm saying? Because Fauci was holding that position.
Exactly. But he took that man who was a surgeon and put him in charge of HUD. The smartest among all of them, including him himself. Put him back in the projects. Crazy. Yeah, but that's who we have, brother. This is what we have. The people we have to choose from to govern us. This is only part one. I'm going to do my due diligence, good brother, and we're going to do the Democrat side too.
Yes, sir. For sure.
We're not with none of this crap. None of it. And we're going to
like I always say, show me a president that did something for the people. We can see the ones that bailed out the corporations, the auto, the industry, the health. You can name it. NASA. They bailed out everybody else.
Exactly.
They never bailed out people. Show me a president that gonna help the people. None of them, because the way this corporation is set up, it ain't for to help the people. It's to help these bigger corporations or companies get bigger. Go ahead, brother.
You're absolutely correct. This corporation only bailed out other corporations. The auto industry, the space crap, you name it. All these big corporations, big pharma, bailed them out too. They only
insurance, auto industry, the insurance industry, they bailed them all out. They never bailed out the people.
They are no less crooked than those who do slip and falls. No less crooked than them. People who do slip and falls and get $100,000, $200,000, the corporations are no better than them. So if somebody slip and fall and they get some loot, hey, that crook is robbing another crook. That's all that is. And good brother, I appreciate you coming up. I'm going to leave this right here.
Got you. Appreciate you, brother. Much love and respect to you and the family.
Do you think we did enough?
Much love and respect to everybody in the chat, man.
Do you think we did enough on this one, brother? Did we prove?
Yes, sir. Any more would be an overkill. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We just trying to stand and let the people know all of them corrupt. Like I said, he said we doing the Democrats next. Then we're gonna move to the liberal. We're gonna show that it's always going to be a lesser of two evils or the smarter of the different dummies.
Yes, sir. Smarter of
But
two.
you got it, brother. Much love to everybody. Have a good night.
Love, honor, and respect to you, good brother. Salute to you.
Love, honor, and respect. Much respect to everybody. You enemies public. To everybody in the chat.
I want to thank my brother Metal Face for coming through. I want to thank Metal Brooke Montreal. Thank you for coming through. Of course, my brother Big Dog Philly OG. The sister Doe Eyes. Thank you for coming through. Carbon King, salute to you. Thank you for coming through. My good brother Dangerous Music. Thank you for coming through. My brother King Genocide. Thank you for coming through. This is your brother Nasir. This is the Enemies Public. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment in the comment section. Peace.
Yo, the enemy's public, I gotta keep my eyes open. Pay attention, stop walking around like you blindfolded. This not the World Cup, but Nasir be kicking knowledge. This the type of information you can never learn in college. It's time to fight back, there's no more trying to play it cool. We got interviews, podcasts, and got the latest news. So sit back and relax, we about to get it started. Earth is a canvas, and guess who's the con artist? They brainwashing us, the system corrupted. You are now rocking with the enemy's public. You are now rocking with the enemy's public. I said you are now rocking with the enemy's public. Hey.
A once goal-driven, ambitious Sapphire turns to the street life after the sudden death of her big brother Dre. Dre's best friend Devontae tries to honor his homeboy's last request of looking out for his baby sister. The rebellious Sapphire makes it very difficult for Devontae to carry out his promise. Author Angela King